この子にゲットされるにゃ。
武蔵
小次郎、
因果をかけるロケット団の2人には
ホワイトホール白い明日が待ってるぜ。お、
いいじゃない。
Hey everyone, it's Mark. This is my recap for Pokémon Journeys episode 72, The Underground Maze Shuffle Panic. This was the 1157th episode of the Pokemon anime, and it took place in Driftvale City, as if I needed another excuse to just play the Driftvale City theme for this entire video. Yeah, sorry for this video being late and low effort overall. Like I mentioned last week, I was moving over the weekend and had no time to make any videos, but here I am, reviewing another episode of Pokemon Journeys, and one that I thought was pretty fun. Let's get into my condensed, low effort breakdown. So Ash and Go have made their way to Driftvale City because they have heard of a newly discovered evolution of Clink, which I'm guessing in the dub is going to be called something like Clink Clang Clung Clink Clang Clink Clang Clink Clang. Basically a ton of Clink merged together. This was just a PR stunt by this cookie vendor, which is a pretty cheap trick, but I guess Ash and Go are pretty gullible. No one else would be that gullible too, right? Well, of course Team Rocket were tricked too, no shock there. Chloe is also here. She just came along to go shopping at Driftvale's Market, which was a nice shout out to the same location in the games. So this opening to the episode did a good job setting up what would happen for the rest of the episode. Ash has got some cookies from the vendor, Jessie and Meowth are arguing for little to no reason, and Chloe and Eevee are just happy to be there. What could go wrong? They're enjoying their Clink cookies, and obviously Go and Chloe haven't learned their lesson when it comes to letting Grookey and Eevee run around together because the two of them end up jumping into a sketchy looking hole. Everyone follows them, including Team Rocket, who leave Wobbuffet behind to catch Pikachu with a net in case it comes back up. I think my favorite part of the episode was when Team Rocket can't help but blow their cover and the Torps just look at them like, you idiots. So they're all underground now, but where's the shuffle panic part of the episode title? Well, Jessie, in all of her brilliance, decides to use a smoke bomb to cause a distraction and steal Pikachu while everyone is disoriented. This mixes everyone up and we get the pairings of Ash and Morpeko, Team Rocket and Eevee, Go and Pikachu, and Chloe and Meowth. I feel like I don't need to go over the beat by beat of everything that happened here. They jump around from group to group, highlighting the different dynamics, and overall it's really fun. I talked about last week how this was at least the 5th time they've done this everyone gets split up plot, but there's a reason they repeat it so much. It's an effective way to highlight each character's personality in a unique way, so it probably won't be too long before we see the 7th time they use this plot, the 8th time they use this plot, and so on. Eventually, Go and Pikachu run into a sewer system and fight off a Seismitoad, and Go realizes that Pikachu really takes after Ash's personality, which is a theme we've seen highlighted before about how Pokemon tend to take after their trainers. Chloe and Meowth seem to get along really well, and Meowth even gets to tell her about how he learned to talk like a human. I really like this part because in previous episodes similar to this one, it was a running gag that both Max and Bonnie would ignore Meowth's story or not let him tell it all the way, so it was funny to me that this running gag finally paid off with Meowth being able to tell his story to Chloe. This led to that wild scene I played at the start of the video, with Meowth seemingly falling for Chloe and deciding that he wanted to be caught by her, which was kind of crazy since Meowth has been so adamant against being caught in the past. The other thing I showed at the start of the video was Jessie and James trading Eevee to be a member of Team Rocket, and it was hilarious to me that they could break the fourth wall by showing a clip of themselves doing the motto on their phone. Like I said earlier, this entire episode was a great way to showcase each character's personalities, and this was another great example for Chloe's Eevee. Of course, it was so good at copying Team Rocket's motto because the core of Eevee's character is that it doesn't really know what it wants to do itself, so it just copies others around it. Grookey, who had been by itself since everyone got split up, manages to find its way back to the surface, which was of course where Wobbuffet was waiting. Again, another funny moment when Wobbuffet catches Grookey in the net, but upon realizing that it isn't Pikachu, it just shakes it loose and lets Grookey go. The episode starts to reach its conclusion when different people start running into hordes of Durant because apparently these tunnels they've been lost in make up a Durant nest. Interesting. I mean, they could have used real locations from Black 2 and White 2 like the Clay Tunnel or the expanded Relic Passage, but I guess a Durant nest was creative too. Also, I mean, they had to have known what they were doing here with this shot. Clearly the production staff is smart enough to recognize that fans will easily tie this episode to the previous episodes that use this plotline, and the episode this one most closely tied to was AG22, A Whole Lot of Trouble, which is where this image comes from. And if an episode is going to highlight Durant, then it's only natural that some Heatmor appear as well. Grookey pisses them off by hitting them with Wobbuffet's net, and they end up running away straight into the Durant nest. Everyone ends up in the same spot, including the Durant and Heatmor that were chasing them, and as the laws of Pokemon nature suggest, the Durant and Heatmor start fighting. Well, except for one Durant, it didn't seem to want to get involved in the scrap, and I actually didn't even notice this one hanging behind the first time I watched the episode. It was a nice touch though, as everyone eventually makes it out of the Durant nest, including that lone Durant that didn't get involved in the fight, who must have been scared or something. It just so happens to take a liking to Go, and it actually allows itself to get caught by the guy who wants to catch every Pokemon. Convenience, but it would have been strange for Go not to catch a Pokemon in this episode. Everyone celebrates, including Chloe's Eevee, who has the Team Rocket pose down, which was hilarious. We wrap up the other storylines by Meowth trying to confess his feelings to Chloe, but he somehow messes up and accidentally makes up with Jessie, which was nice to see this group of best friends all appreciating each other once again. The good times don't last long though, as a very hangry Morpeko takes out its anger on, well, everyone. Morpeko blasts off Team Rocket and the twerps, and personally I love this part because it brings up a great piece of trivia. So here's a pop quiz. Ash and friends have only ever gotten blasted off once prior to this episode. What episode did that happen in? It's actually not that random of an answer. Well, the episode itself was really random. It happened in episode 96 of AG, Trading Rex, but it was significant because they blasted off at the end of the episode, and the following episode started with them stranded on an island when all of a sudden the whole Team Magma and Team Aqua climax started happening. You know, the 2-episode arc with Groudon and Kyogre and Lance, all that because Ash and friends accidentally went blasting off for the first and only time, until this episode. This time around, instead of getting involved in some near cataclysmic events, Ash, Go, and Chloe end up heading back home like normal, while Team Rocket are hung up in another tree, with Meowth still thinking about Chloe. I don't think it's any shock that no bingo tiles were checked off this week, but more importantly, I'm giving this episode a 7 out of 10 rating. I guess it's worth mentioning that since I keep track of each of my episode ratings and I have been rewatching the dub and continuing to fill in my ratings, I now have a complete average for this entire series so far. Through 72 episodes, my average episode rating for Pokemon Journeys is a 6.89 out of 10. So to keep it simple, any episode that I give a 7 or higher to is an above average episode of Journeys in my opinion. And since I'm giving this episode a 7, that means I thought it was an above average episode. For some completely unnecessary filler, I really enjoyed this one. Like I mentioned earlier, there's a reason why they reuse this plot so often. It's a really effective way to highlight character traits in unique situations. Nothing important or meaningful happened in this episode, but I'm guessing pretty much everyone that watched it enjoyed it because it was just fun and funny. I pointed out a lot of funny moments throughout the episode, but I don't think I even mentioned things like Ash tricking Morpeko into using Stomping Tantrum on the Durant. Practically every scene had some kind of little moment that made me laugh or smile. I think that's all the analysis I have for reviewing that episode. It was 20 minutes of lighthearted fun, and there's not really much more to say about it. There won't be much for me to say about the next 2 weeks either because, well, there aren't going to be any new episodes this Friday or the following one. I think there's supposed to be some kind of recap thing happening in Japan next week, so I don't know, maybe I'll make a video about that, but the next time you'll be getting an episode review from me will be on July 16th when the anime returns with, well, I'm not sure how to describe this episode. The preview made it seem like Ash, Go, and Pikachu are going to get mixed up with some Phalanx, and wow, I even made the joke back in episode 65 of Go not needing to catch a Pansage because he already has Grookey. Anyways, apparently there will be an Ice Cube as well, which I don't really understand since I think this episode is taking place primarily in the Cerise Park, so how did these Galar Pokemon all show up here? I guess we'll just have to wait 2 weeks to find out. That's all I've got for now. Thank you guys for watching. I know the video quality this week wasn't up to par, but that's what happens when I have to wait 5 days before I can make my review, and I just want to post it as soon as possible. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time.